Yo, what's going on? It's Greg Santos. Welcome to the Outlier Circle. If this is your first time joining me here today, what I do is I help isolated outliers who lack a powerful network of peers and mentors, and I help you create a world-class network. That sounds like you. That sounds like what the fuck you want. Hit that subscribe button and also make sure you hit that notification bell so every single time I drop a new video, you get notified. So I got a comment here on one of my most recent videos from Tim. It says, I'd love to hear more about how you committed to your path. Personally, I see all the options open to me, and that selection / commitment is what I need to develop. Now, that's a fantastic question because I remember one time when I was hanging out with one of my old best friends, we were smoking weed in his car, and I was explaining to him what I was looking to do. This is before I committed to entrepreneurship. And he brought up a great point. He said, man, it seems like every time, like every 6 months or so, like you're on to a new thing. Like you're obsessed with this new thing. And you're obsessed with it for about 6 months, and then you kind of let it die down. And I remember when he said that to me, that really stuck with me. Because I started to really pay attention, like, because he was right. And even moving forward, there was things I'm like, man, I'm like hitting that 6 month mark, like, and I can feel that. Like, I feel myself wanting to stop doing this specific thing. And I'm gonna take this in two different directions, right? With anything, there's not like a black and white answer here. It's all about the nuances. So I would start off with saying it ultimately depends where you're at right now in your life. Like if you are a younger gentleman or gentlewoman, whatever, or you're early on in your life, in your 20s, especially your early 20s, late teens, I would suggest that it's actually a smart thing to go and experiment and test things out and see what you like and see what you don't like, and pivot and move around. Think, okay, well, I tried this out, not really into that kind of job. I tried this out, not really into that either, but at least you experiment, right? Because during this time you're exploring, you're trying to figure out who you are. You're maybe not entirely sure of who you are. So you got to learn who you are through references, through experience, through talking to people, through doing different things. So I think in that time where my best friend at the time had said that, I thought it was a negative thing because I was like, damn, like, am I ever going to commit to something? But I'll tell you what, like, that was essential for me because I had to try out different things in order to give me references for what I'm willing to tolerate. It's kind of like dating, right? When you go on a date with somebody and you learn, you're like, okay, I like this kind of things, like about this kind of person, and you know what you're not willing to tolerate. So when you go on future dates, you're like, nope, I have experience in this, and this is definitely not something that I'm willing to put up with. And you're able to really quickly see red flags, and you're able to be grateful. So when you do come across a girl or a guy that you really like, you're like, oh man, I'm grateful because I've seen the other side. I've seen people who I didn't get along with and that I really didn't like. And now I see what I do like. And you have to kind of go through that with jobs. When I was working as a kickboxing instructor, there was parts of it that I couldn't stand. I absolutely hated it. There were definitely positive parts of the job that I enjoyed doing, but there's like parts where I'm like, this is not what I will ever want to do ever again. Specifically, work for a big corporation because I wanted to have my own freedom and my choice to do certain things. And then I would talk to this girl who was my manager, and she said, "Well, corporate says you can't do that," and corporate says, and I'm like, fuck corporate, man. Like, we have no fucking freedom. I want to make my own decisions. So I am grateful for that experience because it gives me a frame of reference of, I think about that sometimes, and I think I'm so grateful that I am out of that situation, and wherever I am in life, at least I'm not there. At least I've moved on from that. Again, not really talking super bad about that place. It's just that I didn't really resonate with the people that I was working with. Wasn't the best. There was one guy who was really cool, but other than that, I think it's important for you to experiment and try other things out. Now, I also suggest that you take time to really think about what kind of work do you want to be doing. If you can have any position, you can do whatever you want, what does that look like? And you are going to have to take some time to sit down and write this out. What exactly do I want? What do I want my lifestyle to look like? What do I do not want to do? Absolutely. What do I do not want in my life? What do I absolutely want in my life? And being crystal clear with that. And then thinking, okay, let me think about what are the skills that I need to acquire in order for me to have that specific job or specific career or whatever it is in life. And how can I go search out positions where I can get paid to learn that? So for example, my brother-in-law, he's looking for someone who is looking to learn digital marketing and specifically in Facebook ads. Now, someone who wants to be an entrepreneur and wants to learn more about Facebook ads or knows that they're going to be using paid advertising in the future, that person will be like, hey, I'm more than happy to come in here, even if it's an internship. I don't think he's paying right now. I think it's like he's doing a three-month internship, and then after that, if he wants to bring you on, I think he'll bring you on. But it's a lot of college students applying. But the point is, it's like, boom, a way in. You learn from somebody who's already doing it. You get the formal training, the right way to do it. And if you can even find a job that pays you to do that kind of stuff for them, even better. You're getting paid to learn and acquire these skills. So you think when you go do your own thing, you have those skills in place. Like, for example, with me, with what I'm doing with my YouTube and my Instagram and my podcast and the lives that I do on my social media, I had to learn how to speak. You can actually go to my YouTube channel, Greg Biscuit. This was today it's like 6 years ago, and this is months before I got into personal development. So you can literally see the kind of person that I was way before I ever stumbled into personal development. And you can see I'm not the most eloquent speaker. I speak with a lot of uncertainty. I speak low. I don't speak with conviction. So I learned how to speak well through going to Toastmasters, through taking improv, and most of all, I learned how to be able to be a better communicator because I took on sales jobs. I was a telemarketer for 2 years. I sold gym memberships for a kickboxing studio for, I believe it was 8 months, maybe 8 months or so like that, 8 or 9 months. And then I sold gym memberships for LA Fitness for 8 months as well. So I did that for what you can say about a year and a half or something like that. So total I had, what's that? Is that only 3.5 years of sales experience? That's horrible. I thought I had way more. But long story short, these skills were very much in line with what I wanted to do because I always knew deep down I had this really deep fear for having my own business and being a speaker, but I knew that's really what I wanted to do, and I felt so much fear around that because it's like can I do that? Is that I didn't give myself permission. Can I do that? Is that within my lifetime? You know, something I really wanted. Is it crazy enough for me to think that I can do that? And I still built skills to help out with that. And then here I am today, making this YouTube video, speaking on podcasts, doing all the things that I do. And it was those years of training of being a better communicator and learning how to change my vocal tonality and speak louder or speak lower, and understanding how different emotions elicit different decisions, all these different things, right? This communication in general and the power of questions and all these different things. All this training went into who I am today. So I would say if you're going to commit to something that gives you a skill that you will use later on. If you're in a position right now where you're filling out a bunch of spreadsheets and you're sitting behind a desk, or you're doing some kind of like video editing and you don't want to be doing that later on in the future, like it's not in line with who you ultimately want to become or what you ultimately want to do, you need to be finding a job or an internship where they teach you that kind of thing, because maybe you want to be an entrepreneur. And I personally know you, Tim. I know you want to be an entrepreneur. And right now, where you're at, it doesn't make sense because you don't have enough experience. You don't know what you would sell. You're still figuring things out. If I had to guess, it'd be more in the coaching business. I don't know entirely, based on skills that we've talked about and things. I don't see you really going into building like a software as a service, company or anything like that. Like, you have like specific skills that can help build up specific businesses. So if you are going into coaching, I would say like get more life experience and commit to learning things that you're going to have to know later on when you do make that leap into becoming an entrepreneur. And once, like for me, I had to be in the state of meditation. I was in a sensory deprivation tank when I made my decision to become an entrepreneur. And it just boiled down to it was finally the right time. I put in a lot of work to put myself in that position to be in that float tank. I paid for a shitload of coaching, and I finally felt ready. Like, all right, well, you've arrived. And if you don't move forward, you're going to live in deep regret when you're 30, 40, 50, 60 years old, and you'll never be able to forgive yourself if you never went for it. So I made that decision, that sensory deprivation tank, and I didn't know what I was going to sell. I still didn't have that big belief in myself. Like, I can do this. It was like, oh, I guess I'll be a coach. What would I even teach? What would I talk about? And then you have to do a lot of thinking, a lot of working through certain things, but you have the skill set built up regardless. And you're able to use that once you get more clarity and you take action and you learn things along the way. So hope that was helpful for you, man. Commit to something that's going to bring you a great skill level long term, and dabble around. Try out different things. See what you like, see what you don't like, what you're willing to tolerate, what you're not willing to tolerate. These are all experiences that's going to help you out when you become an entrepreneur, when you're managing teams, when you're working to sell and communicate all these different things. You're going to be able to call on that past experience. So if you got some value from this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Also hit that notification bell. You can also follow me on Instagram. It's Greg Santos, GregSantos for some more hot content. If you want to listen to me talk about my life and the challenges that I'm going through and things that I'm overcoming, you can check out my podcast. It's called CEO Life. You can check that out on Spotify. But in the meantime, I do appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.